Hello my friends! As I had presented the Door of Light in theaters, I realized that it was a bit small, even if the rays of light coming from the sides made it huge. So I needed to make a larger one, which would allow me to add many of the lighting effects I had in mind. It had to be dismountable, so that it could be transported, but also for that I could make it at home. This large painting, composed of 4 panels of 1 meter 20 by 1 meter 20 each, with a fifth of 1 meter side positioned in front of it, brought me a lot of questions. How to connect the electrical networks and this whole set while being able to dismantle them without too much difficulty, and also how to hang them up. I made the first attempt in 1996, but the 4 panels were made of wood and only the central part was animated. This composition was so successful that the painting was sold shortly afterwards, and I was able to embark on the adventure of animating this very large painting. More than I expected, it was very difficult to achieve between the lighting effects and the painting. A first unsatisfactory version of Canvas in 1996 was followed by 3 others, 1997, then 2 more in 1998. I was running out of room to store all these panels I had removed after installing some in my hallway, under my bed, and even on top. So I would take them apart from the frames I had built and put them away, rolled up in various nooks and crannies, wondering what condition they would be in if one day they had to be reassembled. To these difficulties, it was necessary to have the financial difficulties, because, taken by this research, I did not have anything anymore to sell, except from time to time small hi-fi systems of my research on the sound, which I carried out in parallel. I was even obliged to work part-time in the library of the city of Paris, which left me much less time for my research. March 14, 2001, I start a new large format painting in 2 meters 40 by 2 meters 40. It was a period of many sketches and attempts to get as close as possible to the text of the Apocalypse. Let's not forget that this is only a very opaque master plan and that many details arising at the time of implementation are not explicitly described. It was by dint of experimentation that I saw the right direction, with many dead ends forcing me to start again. It is certain that his heavenly Jerusalem did not fall from the sky, booked. For several months, I studied the lightning effect in the central part of 1 meter by 1 meter and in the large painting. Setting up, testing, touching up, it was very long. I can't describe all the steps I had to take. It would be too tedious. Please know that this will go on for years, and I won't finally end up until a long time later, on October 27, 2018, my birthday. What a gift! November 27, 2004. I begin a new large-scale painting of the Door of Light, which will become the Door of Ecstasy. Finally, I was not fully satisfied with the fabric which let the lamps appear that I had experimented for the Montmartre show as a replacement for the real projection fabric. The effect was interesting, but distracted me from the essential. Moreover, After many observations, I felt that the pictures still needed to be modified. The compositions, the architecture was found, but it was necessary to modify the ratio of the colors and slightly change some proportions. After the fabric, I tried a complete transparent plastic sheet on which I sprayed an undercoat of white paint. The result was interesting, but had to give up with this solution because the veil was not uniform, and especially I had to spray paint in my basement. Dust, dust, dust. This time, I realized that the sound disturbance I perceived during a performance came from the painting. More recently, light covers that I had fixed on the lamps to form images. For years, I made them in aluminum foil. The advantage was the ease of fabrications. The disadvantage, if they were too high, they could pierce the fabric in transport, or if they were too tight, some of them could touch each other and cause an electrical short-circuit. I then had the idea to make them in fine cork. Their manufacture was much longer, but at least eliminated the two risks mentioned. It was definitively better than the aluminium, but after prolonged listening, I felt a slightly muffled, croaky sound that became unpleasant over time. I had to take them back on one by one. I painted them, then varnished them, then re-varnished them with other types of varnish. In total, I would have to repeat each catch of different models a good 10 times. Each time, it was necessary to remove them light effects by light effect, not to make a mistake by putting them back, to treat them, to listen. If it was good, I continued. Each time, I had to open the central part of the painting by unsticking the pieces of sky masking the screw of the angles which it was necessary to unscrew them to unhook it. It was heavy to handle with great care. Then open the large painting by unhooking the four panels after performing the same process as for the central part, but this time in very uncomfortable and tiring positions. Treat and replace the covers. To close again, to hang the panels, to screw them, to stick again the pieces of sky, to suspend the central part, which appeared even easier, to close again, to screw and to stick again the sky. Try the light shows to make sure there was no mistake or misdirections when putting the covers back on, which sometimes happened. It was then necessary to start again the tiring operation of opening and closing, which lasts 1 hour of each phase. Finally, listen, knowing that there are between 1,200 and 1,500 catch, it is understandable that I was largely occupied during all this period. In particular, I had to revolve the entire interior of the painting from an acoustic perspective to remove the disturbing reflections of the large panels. I had the idea of using small pieces of sky painted and varnished, which I cut and then carefully slid under the electrical wires. Fortunately, I am particularly patient. Occasionally, I had to get out the soldering iron to reconnect wires that had come borrowed. But overall, it was going well. The catches had to be taken back again. The cold version disappeared. I found another solution with varnished Bristol and later covered inside and outside with vinyl fabric, also varnished. It took days and days to shape these hundreds of small objects, with conclusive listening after each setup. I took the opportunity to change some of the lighting effects that seemed better in accordance with the painted composition. I had one big piece left to redo another painting, then another luminous composition, better linked to the image, to the music, to my analysis of the book of Revelation. I had plenty more to keep me busy for a while.